What's going on, traders? It's Trader Timbo back with another video here. So today I had a losing day. I lost $1,000 per funded account today. So not a good day today. We can get into the trades I took here. So let's see, starting out the day, coming in, here's yesterday's high, yesterday's low. So we kind of gapped down and we started kind of moving down. Oops. Kind of in the pre-market, we're moving down from that previous day low level. So kind of rejecting it, showing signs that we're going to move down possibly. EMAs are kind of aligned bearish, right? We got the 200, the 50, and the 9, so we're aligned bearish. So coming into the morning, I was looking at to see if we can stay underneath this previous day low level. And then we had this, go to the 30-minute so you can see. We had this kind of overnight low down here that I was looking at. So we opened up in this area here, and let me go back to the 5-minute on NQ here. So we went up into like the 50, kind of into this resistance area, supply, whatever you want to call it, an area where we had a pretty good move from in the pre-market. Moved up into it, rejected back down. And I was looking to see how we were going to do at this level here, right? We broke it. So at this point, I was thinking, all right, I want to be looking for a short, waiting for a pullback. So we end up, I just want to make sure my mic was on. We end up moving up into the 9 EMA here, but pretty strong candle here. So really, ideally, you don't ever want to enter like right next to a big move like that of the opposite direction. At least that's kind of a rule that I like to think about. So I usually want to wait for like a smaller candle, right, for things to kind of slow down, maybe consolidate a little bit before looking for a trade back the other direction. So we had this nice engulfment here on this red candle. And I thought about taking this, but we had this, the level was right here, and it was kind of hard to know whether or not I was going to break it. And it was just a big candle, right? So if I got short, down here, my stop be way up here. So it's kind of a big stop. So I passed on it. I was like, I said to the Discord, I said, let's see if we can get a retest off of this like 700 level to 696, this overnight low level, right? So I was hoping the next candle was going to come up and wick and then go green to red, kind of like yesterday's play. We didn't get that. We started to move down. I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to miss it. We're kind of back down near this support. And the next candle kind of gave me that entry. This one did move up, wicked, and then came back down, turned red. And I was honestly, I just hesitated on it. I saw it happen. It kind of happened early in the candle. And I thought maybe I wanted to wait and see to make sure it didn't like go back up again. Sometimes early in a 5-minute candle, if it happens too quick, it'll like fake out and then it'll end up going back up anyway. So like usually I like to wait at least like a couple minutes to make sure it's truly forming a good wick there. But obviously it can happen quick sometimes. So, it moved up, rejected, and then came down, and I missed it. And we had a really nice move down here. So at that point, I was looking at ES, because ES, we moved down here. ES got under a level while NQ was at this zone here. So I switched gears over to MES. Let me load this up. And you can see right here I took a short, not the greatest entry. We kind of rejected off this level, and it looked like we were going to move down, so I got in. And then we end up, there was news came out, I forget what it was. We ended up spiking up, and actually I lost, my internet went out during the trade after I entered, so I didn't even see this happen in real time. I was actually nervous that my stops weren't going to get triggered because my internet was out, and I wasn't really sure. And it came back on, and I saw I was stopped out, so I didn't even see this get stopped out in real time. And at that point, I was down like almost like close to $400 after one trade. So I was sized up too much on this. I didn't realize I needed to size less on MES than what I was based on the volatility. So at that point, I was kind of like not feeling good about the day. But I took the loss and I was like, all right, let's see if we get another setup. I'm kind of getting closer to like a max daily loss of around like $500 on the day is kind of what I have in mind for my max daily loss. So I didn't really have a whole lot of wiggle room. So let's see, I went back to NQ. And I took, so we had that news, we wicked up, we came back down, and then we kind of got back, we moved up a little bit, wicked, and we started to come back down, so I took a short here. The only issue is like when you have this big of a move down, right, we rejected way up here and came all the way back down, like you're not always going to get like good follow through right away after that, right? So I took it and then I had a tight stop on it. I got stopped out. And then I was down basically at my max daily loss at that point. I think I was down like 450. And then I decided to keep going and kind of broke a rule there. So I think that first trade kind of screwed me up because it took out so much of my daily loss limit that I was kind of like frustrated that I basically took the one trade and it took out so much of my max loss limit. So I was kind of frustrated with that. So I went and I basically increased my loss limit for the day. And I said, I'm just going to take another trade. So I took this one. It was actually not a bad setup because you can see we kind of slowed down a little bit. We had a small green body. We wicked up on this candle. Then we started to flip red and I got short. We actually had a pretty good move down here. I took one off at the new lows. And then we ended up, I was hoping we were going to get a similar flush like we had earlier, kind of a replica of this. But you can see these candle bodies are not big compared to like these ones earlier. So you can see like the sellers are kind of slowing down. They're not getting the follow through that we want. And then what do they end up doing? We get a green candle. And then they push it up and I get stopped out break even on the rest of it. So at that point I was a little frustrated because I was close to getting back to break even on this trade. And then obviously they reversed. I was hoping this level would break. Since ES was also under that that level that I tried to play earlier that I lost on, it was below it. So I thought maybe we were going to get good follow through. But they end up bouncing it. And then let's see what happened next. Then they shot it up again. It was really, I feel like there's like a lot of news coming out today, like wicks, like kind of wild candles. It honestly was not very ideal conditions today. But I definitely could have handled it better. So I took a long here. So we had this move up out of this zone. We pulled back to the 9, right? We got like good space away from it on this candle. The only issue is we're going against like the higher trend because the 200 and the 50 are still above, right? So like, yeah, I get it. We're above the 9, but like the bigger trend, we're still down, right? We're still below the opening price, right? So we're still red on the day. So this thing ends up moving up in my favor a bit here. It held the 9. And then right at this time, my wife gave me a call and she was on a walk. She's like, I lost my keys. And I'm like trying to like think while I'm in the trade and talk to her. And then this ends up happening. So I didn't get anything off on the trade. It ends up coming down. I take a small loss on it. So at that point, I'm like kind of annoyed because I obviously just had like a decent trade go red on me. My wife called me because she lost her keys on a walk. So I got a little frustrated with it. And then I thought like, all right, now we kind of like broke this kind of like flag looking thing, this trend line. So I was like, maybe we're going to keep moving down and break this level finally. So like I was definitely starting to get like some emotions to come on instead of just sticking to the plan, because the plan would tell me wait for it to actually break and then wait for retest. So what did I do? Next candle, we end up, it opened, it came up, it formed a little wick, and then it started to come down, so I just took it short, and then they end up squeezing it up. And this is what happens when you enter far from the EMA. You can get in a bad situation with your stop, because where was I supposed to put my stop? I was like, oh, at the time I was like, well, it's probably going to hold, maybe it'll hold the 9 EMA. But when it doesn't, and you enter this far from the 9 EMA, and you're using the 9 EMA as your risk, it's not a good risk reward. And then I took a big loss on that, right? So now I'm like really annoyed, because I was almost basically back to break even on this trade. Didn't take anything off, took a loss on it, and then end up chasing this here. So like this is like starting to get into like tilt mode now, right? Starting to get annoyed, frustrated. This is where I should have stepped away, but I didn't. We started to move up quick on this candle, and we got above this level here. So I was like, maybe we're actually going to reverse, right? Because these sellers couldn't get it down. We brought it back up with the buyers, and I'm basically just chasing this and guessing that we're going to break out. Like, not a part of my plan, not a part of my system at all, right? Trying to guess a breakout, and we end up wicking up here, and they bring it back down, and I take the loss, and then that was it for me for the day. So a lot of trades, a lot of bad trades, and a lot of like lessons to learn too. Like, obviously, if you're going to have a red day like this, you want to be able to at least take something from it. I think that's the key. Like, when you have a tough day like this, go back and review it and see where could you have been better. Like, what could you have done to be better that day, right? So, like, looking at this, I know that if I would have taken this trade right here, the one that I hesitated on earlier, right, we got back under this level here. We came up, tested the 9 and the level. We went green, back to red. Like, this was a really solid setup right here. And I didn't take it. And then because of that, I kind of had some regret. And I kind of let that affect me, because I was thinking like, oh, if I would have taken that, I could have been done for the day. Like a nice move down, or maybe I would have held some of it, got stopped out. I don't know. But like, I definitely kind of held on to that for the rest of the session. So I kind of felt like I was in almost like a little bit forceful type mode today, which is never where you want to be trading from. So I did make like a list of things here. Just like when you have a red day or a losing day, like, you actually need to learn the mistakes, right? So you can be better in the future. So that was the first thing I put. Don't hesitate when your setup appears, because it can cause regret and poor trade decisions, right? So that's kind of what happened to me today. I didn't take this trade here, and I end up taking worse trades, right? The one on ES. This one wasn't terrible, but I just didn't have enough room for my stop, right? Because of the volatility, and I was close to my max daily loss. So that was the first lesson. Second lesson, size down when it's volatile, right? So like that first trade on MES that I took, I lost like 300 and something bucks on that. I usually have been losing, usually under 200 bucks. So that was like almost a double size loss for me today. So obviously I don't trade MES as much, and I should have been smarter about taking less size on it, and kept that loss small. Third thing is preferring the bodies of the candles to be near the 9 EMA before entering. So let's look at that. So on that MES trade, let me go back to it real quick. You can see when I entered, I know it's near a level here, right? This level is rejecting, but for the most part, like, for my system, what works best for me is when these bodies of the candles get near the 9 EMA, right? Like, the bodies get near, you get to move away. Like, this is a little bit extended from it, right? So I used way too much size when we're kind of extended from the 9. I know there's a level, but if there's only a level and you're a little bit farther from the 9, you need to be using like half size. And I think I used 5 micros on this on MES, and for that stop size, it was just too much, right? So, you know, waiting for price to get back near that 9 EMA with some bodies of the candles is always a good idea. So that was the third lesson. Fourth lesson, let me go back to MNQ. Oops. If you're going to counter trend, if you're gonna trade counter to overall trend, take profits faster and trail tight. Yeah, so that was on this trade. Right here. Just delete that. On that trade right there, right? Because I'm going counter to the bigger EMAs, even though it's going with the 9, we're going against the 50 and the 200. So take profits quicker, right? At this level here that I have, I should have scaled out at least half of it. Then maybe I would have stopped out break even on the rest if I trailed by stop, right? So that was a lesson there. If you're going to take a counter trend trade to the overall bigger EMAs. This one, don't chase big moves or predict levels breaking, enter near the sloping 9 EMA. Yeah, so obviously, looking back at these are just kind of emotional mistakes. Like, obviously, I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. I got emotional. I got a little frustrated. Instead of being patient, waiting for, you know, this level. If this level had broke, right, then the 9 would have chased after price. And then I could have waited for a pullback near the 9 EMA to see if maybe this level held on a retest. But trying to predict and chasing price, right? Even though I didn't enter when this was down here, I did still try to wait for a wick and like a green to red type move. But I just got in. Obviously, it didn't work out. And probably got in a little bit too early. But just, you know, waiting for levels to break, waiting for, you know, the 9 EMA to start sloping again, waiting for price to get away from the 9 EMA and then come back to it, right? Like I talked about yesterday in my video, my review from yesterday, you know, waiting for price to get away from the 9 EMA and then back to it, right? These bodies, you know, they kind of hang out on the 9 and then this green candle gets taken out by a red engulfing. Like, that's the kind of areas where you want to be entering. Somewhere, obviously, it doesn't always have to be perfect, but general idea, when we get away from the 9 EMA, you want to wait for price to come back to that sloping 9 EMA, wait for some sort of reversal pattern. And like I said, my kind of, you know, when I'm trading well, I don't want to be entering next to these big opposite color candles, not right next to it, right? Waiting for a smaller green candle to appear like this one. Obviously, it's still like a good sized candle with the volatility, but in comparison to this one, it's smaller and it's right near the 9 EMA. And it got just above the 9, but it couldn't hold above, right? So some people probably got trapped here and then they bring it back down. So those are kind of things to look at. Like, wait for the opposite color candle get taken out, right, near the 9 EMA. That's a good way to look for entries. Waiting for, you know, a green to red type move near the 9 EMA, like especially at this level here. That's a good way to enter. But like, again, like that 9 EMA is kind of in a general down slope, down trend. Obviously, it kind of flattens a little bit here because this green candle, but overall, like, you can see it's kind of just down at this point. But like, that's kind of, when I'm trading well, I'm always entering back near the sloping 9 EMA, and then you get out when price gets away from it, right? That's kind of like the general rule for me. And then you use kind of the levels in conjunction with that. And if you look at this, like, we had this kind of support here in the pre-market, this support here. And what happens? We break it, we come back up, and we retest it. Like a simple break and retest. You engulf this green candle. Like, these are just things that, like, you want to be reviewing so that, like, next time this happens in real time, you can pick this up, right? So like if you have a bad day like I had today, yeah, it sucks, but like don't get too hung up on it. Don't beat yourself up too much, and just learn from it and see how you can be better the next time, right? Okay, so let's go back to the lessons list. Oh yeah, that's the last lesson too. When you have a tough day, learn from the losses. Don't label yourself a loser, right? Don't say, I suck, I'm a loser. I know it's hard when you have a really bad day, right? If you blew your accounts even, right? Or you had a big red day. Like, don't beat yourself up. It's really important that you don't talk to yourself like that, because your subconscious will take it literally, and it'll keep programming for you to lose in the future. So like when you have those red days, as I talked about in videos before, you have to try to stay positive. Say that, like, tell yourself, like, I'm a winner, but I just had, a red day today. I just had a loss today, right? Don't label yourself as a loser. So be nice to yourself. Don't beat yourself up too much. So yeah, that was my day today. It was not pretty, right? It started out with that loss, and that kind of, I never was really able to recover from that first loss I took. A lot of it, like I said, stemmed from me hesitating early on with this trade right here that I didn't take. And then, like, I know myself, if I miss a move, or if I don't take a good setup that I know, like, I should have taken, it can end up turning into, like, kind of what happened today, like, where I'm taking trades that are not as ideal, kind of like forcing things like that MES trade I took under the level, like being a little bit too far from the 9 EMA, even though it was near level. Like, these are the kind of things I know myself. Like, so for me, it's better to even get in, even if I got in like a little bit late on this, right? Even if I missed that perfect, like, green to red, right, getting in right here, even though I got in down here and got like a piece of it and just put my stop up here, maybe use less size, I know that, like, in the long run, like, if I take those plays, it's gonna help me to avoid taking worse setups, right? Like, I'd rather be a little bit late to taking like a good setup than like take a bad setup later on and just lose on it, right? So that's just one way to kind of think about it. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can add from the day, but really, like I said, the main lesson is just don't get too down when you have a red day. Like, learn to be okay with it. I obviously still can be better about my losing days and walking away sooner. One of the things I actually was telling my buddy about that I kind of thought of today was, like, a good way to think about like a daily loss limit is, like, put yourself, like, if anyone who's been to the casino here that's listening to this, right? If you're going to the casino, usually what you want to do, right, if you're just going to play, right, you're going to take money, out of the ATM, or you're going to bring money with you, right? And maybe you'll bring like a couple $100, a few $100, depending, on your income level and all that. But, like, let's say, like, all right, I'm going to go to the ATM. I'm going to take out like $300. Okay. So, like, that is what you're willing to lose on the day. Like, if you're going to go play some blackjack or whatever you're going to play at the casino, before you start gambling that's your max loss, right? Whatever you're going to take out of the ATM, that's like the most you're willing to lose for that day, right? So I think it's like a good way to kind of frame it for traders, because sometimes it's hard to take like a max daily loss limit. I'm not sure why that is, but like, it's really hard for traders to follow that, and myself included. So I was just thinking of like a different way to frame it would be like, all right, if you're going to go to the casino, you're going to, take out a few $100. And if you lose that, like, you're done. Like, you're not allowed to go to the ATM to take anything more out, right? So same thing with trading. Whatever your max daily loss limit is, let's say you have a $2,000 drawdown limit, right, on your account, on a 50K account, for example. Let's say, like, you're willing to lose $400 on the day, right? So it's like 20% of your account, of your drawdown. So if you end up losing that, you lose 400. Like, think about it. Like, if you were at the casino right now and you just lost $400, like, would you be willing to go back to the ATM and take out more money? Because that's what you're doing when you continue to trade, right? If you hit your max daily loss limit, if you're down $400 and that was your loss limit, like, would you do that if you're at the casino? Would you go and take out another 400? Because when you kind of like put it in that perspective and you think about like the actual money in your hand, you have to go to the ATM and take that out. Like, are you willing to lose another 400? And most people, unless you're an absolute, degenerate gambler, which I hope you're not, but like most people would say, no, like I wouldn't take out another 400. I would just be done. Like, I'd be, whatever. It would suck, but I wouldn't want to lose another 400, right? Like, that's kind of how we need to think about our daily loss limits. So that's kind of what I'm going to try to frame with mine, because I do still struggle to walk away, right, when I have a bad day like today. So hopefully, that's something that will help you guys too, just kind of framing that, like thinking about, like, if you hit your max loss limit, like think about it like in terms of like in real life, like if you increase it, then you're basically going and grabbing more money from your bank account and you're risking more of it on that day. Like, if it's not your day, usually it's either bad conditions or you're just not trading well, right? Or both, right? That was kind of turned into me today. It was bad conditions. I started to not trade well. I got a little emotional after this trade. Starting out the day with that bigger loss didn't help, obviously. It kind of screwed me up. So, have a mindset that, if you do hit your max daily loss, like, think about that. Like, am I willing to go take more money out of my account? Because that's basically what you're doing. Even though it's like maybe a funded account, with a prop firm or whatever, but like it's a good way to frame it so that it'll cause you to like not keep trading. So, all right, guys, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully this video is helpful. Obviously not my best day. But the main thing is like, just trying to learn from it and trying to, take these lessons and instill them, moving forward, right? To try to be better tomorrow and the rest of, this month and beyond that. So, I really think that's the key to trading, is like being resilient and, being okay, right? Still like not getting too down on yourself. Like I said, if you have a red day, don't beat yourself up. Don't say to yourself, I'm a loser. I'm not good enough. I'm never going to make it. I'm never going to make this trading thing work, because then you won't. Honestly, if you talk to yourself like that, you're just going to get yourself down. And, that's the easier thing to do. The harder thing is to say, hey, you know what? I had a tough day today, but it doesn't make me a loser. I just had a tough day, right? I'm still a long-term winner. Like, you have to have that winning mindset, right? So even though I had a shit day today, right? I lost a bunch of money on my accounts. My accounts are now, my funded accounts are basically back to break even on those two that were up 1,000. Now they're back to break even, which sucks, but guess what? Like, I still have, like, they're still okay. I can still come back from it, right? I said a tough day. So, and then obviously you want to go back and review and see how it can be better, and just come back and learn your lessons, right? That's how we learn. That's how we grow and be better in the future. So that is the way to do it, guys. So when you have a tough day, make sure you review and learn your lessons, write some things down in your journal, and try to improve, because that's the only way you improve, is if you review things. Look at the charts, see like where could you have entered, like if I were to go back and look at this, and this is what I like to do too, is I'll go back, let me just delete this, but just go back and look, and I literally just circle, I just circle like the areas on the chart that would have made sense for like a good trade. Like, it's hindsight trading, but that's how you train yourself to like see these things. So it's like, all right, like, this one's probably hard to catch at the open, but like we get this move down. This one I actually was looking at, but I just didn't love this wick next to it. But like this green to red right near the sloping 90 MA, I mean, it's a possibility, right? We're kind of like retesting this area here, right? But this one this area is the better one, I think. You know, we come back up, we take out this green. Obviously, if you want to use a wider stop, like this isn't a bad area. Like whenever the opposite color candle gets taken out, right, especially like a smaller kind of body back near that sloping 90 MA, that's typically always a pretty good entry. So that was a good one for a wider stop, I should say. This one, right, this green to red off the level, green, red, flipped. That was the one that I missed this morning that kind of caused me to not trade so well today. So I would say like those three were really the only good ones. Like this trade I actually took, right? But this little green candle, like we wick up and we kind of take out this green here. We get this move down. It's obviously smaller and we're right near this level, so it's not as much room, but you know, it's not bad. You know, ideally, like for every entry that you take, or that I take, I should say, I either want to see some sort of like good wick off the 9, some sort of like engulfment of the opposite color candle, or like a good hammer, which I don't really see any good hammers from today. Like if this, I mean, this is a huge hammer, but like it's almost too big, right? Because the risk of it, right? If you enter right next to it, like this hammer, if this hammer was like a little bit bigger body red and like a little bit higher, that'd be a pretty good example. If that wick, basically the body was moved up here and it was a little bit bigger red body, that'd be a decent entry back down, right off the 9. So just go back and review and like take screenshots of this like every day and just put it in like a little folder or something and look it over, which I haven't done in a while, and I should start doing that again. Good reminder. So all right, I think kind of getting a little long-winded here, so I'm gonna end it here. Sorry it's a little bit of a longer review here, but just a lot of things that you know, I didn't do great today, so is what it is. You know, I'm not perfect, just trying to get a little better every day, and hopefully it'll help you guys to get better as well too. So all right guys, if you liked the video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed, and also if you're gonna get some evals, you got Apex 85% off and Lucid 50% off on your first 2. So use the code Timbo if you get another eval from any of those companies. I would really appreciate it. And that is really all I have for today, guys. So hopefully can have a better day tomorrow and bounce back, and I'll do another review tomorrow. So all right guys, have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, later.